Oh yeah, hey Steve, how did the USC game go? How did the Chargers do? Oh yeah, it's good. It's all good. It's great. Alrighty, dudes and dudettes. So, yes, very fun and uneventful, at least sports weekend. It did end on a high note. As far as Sunday night, that game with Aaron Rodgers stuff was pretty cool. I don't know why he left his leg out there just to be falling on like that. It was pretty awkward. And then, of course, him coming in reminded me of like Paul Pierce in the Lakers in the 2008 finals that he did that crap. But let's get on to more important news. So USC does lose to Stanford 17-3. So obviously their defense once again keeps them close in a big game. It's just for some reason every few other games the offense sputters and they can't get anything going, which sucked. It was tough. There's a lot of injuries too as well, a lot of bad play calling. Of course, JT Daniels, the freshman quarterback, says there's no excuse for whether it's his maturity or how young he is or anything like that. He knows everything in the playbook so far, and excuse me, it should be a lot better result than that. They know they need to go back and do a lot of work, especially with Texas coming up, who's also been struggling, so that could be a W on the road. We'll see how that goes next week. And then also we had them explain that he needs more help from the backfield, from the running backs, but those guys are actually the spark and the things that did good for the Trojans in the game. But whenever they went back to the play calling for the passing, it was just horrible. So in my opinion, it's whether who's doing the play calling, who's calling the plays for the offensive linemen to block in certain schemes. I think those two guys to go. I know T. Martin is the offensive coordinator, and I'm not sure about the name of the other guy who does the offensive line, but in my opinion, those two guys need to go first before Clay Helton. I think we still need to give him another year or so. And then with injuries, JT Daniels did come out for a series or two because his hand hit a helmet. So he had a hand contusion, so it was kind of bruised, but he was able to play through it for some reason. And they're going to reevaluate tomorrow to see how he officially is going to go for Texas or not. And Isaiah Palomau, a freshman guy who got the start at safety, he was doing really good until he dislocated his shoulder. So we had to deal about that stuff, but it's all good news so far. And then a mysterious case of Bubba Bolden, another safety for USC. He hasn't played the first two games, and we haven't had a real explanation why. And then I saw a little bit of snippet there that he could be facing a 2-year suspension from USC, which is pretty crazy. And yet we still don't even know what the heck happened. I read the article. They said it could be put down to 1 year, but it sucks because he was one of the best players out of Las Vegas that year when he came out, and I don't know what's going on. Hopefully it's all good news. I forgot to mention on the last part of the USC news that they did move down to 22 in the AP poll. So at least they kind of respected them that much to keep them in the top 25. But they still had many chances to get back into the game, but they just faltered. So luckily they're kind of lenient with that. But on to Chargers news, another great part of the weekend. So even before the game, we had some bad news saying that Joey Bosa was going to miss the first game. And then I believe a few hours before the game, we had news that it might be multiple games and multiple weeks. And because he had one evaluation and then he was looking for a second opinion just to see if that guy was wrong or not, to see if he could come back earlier. But like I always said, people had high hopes for the Chargers and they were going to even win the division. And they have a poor showing against the team that should be winning the division in the Chiefs, which they did, and they won 38-28. it's kind of bittersweet because I almost didn't mind at the end that they lost because they did try to come back as always, but they always lose it in great fashion. But in my fantasy team, I did have Tyreek Hill, who went off like crazy against them, so that kind of softened the blow. But one of the big mistakes I thought was around 10 minutes left in the game, and Kansas City is punting to LA, and the rookie JJ Jones, the punt returner, he fumbles the ball, and Kansas City picks it up like within the 2 or 3 yard line. Of course, they're gonna score. And of course, there's just a bunch of drop balls by receivers, at least 4 to 5 that could have been, at least 2 of those could have been touchdowns, and he would have been in better position at the end of the game. Just sucks how it always seems to go for Chargers fans like myself, but hopefully we can continue to get past this. But a little bit of a history bright spot for Phillip Rivers. He does move into 6th place all time in touchdown passes, so good to him. But I don't know how you could score that many times and only get to the AFC Championship one time in your career. But just have to stick with him for now. And then also we had the Lakers breaking out news that of all people they prefer next year in the summer free agency, it's Klay Thompson, which is pretty interesting with all the guys that they have available to them, if possible, during that time. But he probably will be cheaper to get than some guys, and he could maybe go after another guy as well. It just really depends on what he wants to do, because he's probably going to get a little bit less if he stays with Golden State just because of how much money they're spending already. And you kind of hope that kind of leads him to play for a team that his dad played for a long time ago. But see how that goes. Should be interesting. He's be a very good complement to playing with LeBron. Some more news about Duke basketball. They finally got their schedule and the time for the Kentucky matchup. Of course, you have to have the top teams play in that championship, like little tournament they have this year. We get Kentucky. A few years ago, Duke sucked pretty bad against them, but it seems like Duke this year has the talent that Kentucky had a few years back. So it should be a pretty easy game, in my opinion. So I think it's November 6th on ESPN, so it should be fun. And then over the weekend also, Grant Hill was inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame. Ex-Dookie won at least one championship that I remember. That's awesome. He could have won 2, I don't know. And then it's great to see. And then also we had Rodney Hood finally signing a contract. He just goes back to the Cavaliers for 1 more year. He was a guy who was probably going to get a pretty good 3 to 4 year deal before he ended up getting traded and then hardly even playing once he got to Cleveland last year. So it sucks for him being an ex-Duke player, getting kind of washed out like that pretty quickly. But I'm pretty sure the way Cleveland is, he'll be one of the main guys out there, and hopefully he can contribute and have a pretty successful season as well. Other USC teams winning over the weekend. Soccer team is still undefeated, so they beat Missouri and San Diego. It's cool to see for the women's soccer team. And then women's volleyball, they get a W in a pretty competitive game against Syracuse, so good on them for that. And then the men's water polo team, who won the national championship last year, they went undefeated. They were like 5-0 this weekend in an Inland Empire Invitational, which is pretty cool. They were around here and they beat up on all the teams that are out here, so good luck to them. They look pretty awesome as well. They're probably gonna go back to back again. And then yesterday was also the 168th year that California became a state in the United States. It's pretty cool. We get a lot of crap, especially from people in Washington. Don't know why. And California's weird too, because they wanted to do especially people in NorCal wanted to do a thing where it separated California into 3 areas, which is kind of really awkward. I don't know why they did that. It's a great state to be in. You just have to worry about earthquakes and big earthquakes that can happen. Other than that, the little earthquakes, you hardly even feel them or don't even notice them at all. You're pretty close to the beach, but it is getting hotter, almost close to Arizona heat a little bit. So I think the pricing should go down, just because the pricing is so down out over there, because it's actually the desert out there. And I'm pretty sure pretty soon that Southern California especially will be close to a desert, like how most of its spots are, like a Palmdale, Lancaster area. But thanks for watching, people. Like and subscribe, comment down below, let me know what y'all think. A lot of freaking news today, but it was a long weekend, had to wait for a lot of these teams to play. So yeah, they're not the outcomes I wanted, but both my teams, USC will be on the road against Texas, so that's a winnable game. And Chargers will be on the road, I believe, against the Buffalo Bills, so that's winnable as well, because they have pretty crappy quarterbacks. And last time we played Nathan Peterman, who's a starter for them, I think he had like 5 or 6 interceptions, so hopefully we can get him again. And Derwin James looked really well for the Chargers, the first round pick. So we'll see how this goes. Like I said before, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and have a great rest of your day.